The next segment I think that we'll do, let's talk a little bit about what cards are going to excite us. And I wanted to do this because I think like we always talk about the new stuff, but we have old leaders that we all love. We all think are great. We all think are possibly, like wish that he would get more love. I did not put Jabba in my list, unfortunately. We just didn't get enough. We just didn't get enough stuff to make Jabba good, I don't think. But I did put some other leaders in there that might surprise you. And I thought that it would be fun to kind of talk a little bit about this because I think it's worth, if you're playing this, it's worth revisiting. Especially the Force leaders is definitely worth revisiting, but it's worth revisiting because I think there's enough card pool now where we can have a little bit more diversity in some of our leaders. So we're not always just playing the same 5 or 6 leaders. And I think, with some of the way the Force is going to go, we'll talk about Force Throw later tonight, but I wanted to touch on this. And so I figured this is probably the easiest way to do it. All right, so these are the leaders that I kind of felt were like, we all kind of picked a few leaders. These are the ones that excited us a little bit. And what we'll do is we'll kind of go around the room and we'll talk a little bit about the 3 leaders and why we picked them. You don't have to go into super long detail. This doesn't have to be an 8-hour segment, guys, but I thought it would be fun to actually talk a little bit about some of the cards around some of these that we feel, or what our reasoning is by picking some of these. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first. So for mine here, I picked 3 leaders. The first one is going to be Kylo Ren, which he has gotten a lot stronger now that he has a lot of great units that are able to be played cheap. He has a lot more discard mechanics within the last 2 sets that have come out as well. And on top of that, he has a new lightsaber that he can take advantage of when he deploys on turn 4, which allows him to do some extra damage. When you combine that with some of the JTL cards that we've had, like Major Von Reg, for instance, his Interceptor is a great piece that deploys for cheap, and you could put pilots on there for cheap as well. Kylo is a beast that can be very aggressive early on and put in a lot of damage really quick. And your opponent has to be able to deal with that quick. And if they're not prepped for it, or they have an off turn where they didn't have an opening hand, you're almost guaranteed that win. You have a lot of great options in Kylo now. That's going to make him stronger, especially now that we have more Force units that are hidden, which allows Kylo to have that prep time. You can play a hidden unit and then they can't be attacked, which allows you to then use them the following turn and strike your opponent's base far easier, and you can equip them with extra gear if you need to, or use different Force abilities. Kylo has a lot of different options there, and then on top of that, you pair that with some of the bases that are coming in with the new set that allow you to regain the Force, which really amplifies those abilities by adding and doing additional damages to base or different opponents. It just really has Kylo firing all different cylinders there. In a different vein, the other leader that I picked was Padme. One of the things I felt Padme was weak is that she didn't have a really good selection of Republic units to really take advantage of her coordinate ability. Now that we've had a mix of different Jedi included with clones, and you have different units that can actually make additional like clone tokens and stuff, it's a lot easier to get her ability to work more reliably in order for you to have more Republic units out there. I think that she's somebody that we're going to see. She kind of reminds me of a light side Vader, and you're able to get out a lot of units quickly, and that should actually help improve her as well. And then Boba Fett being able to have the hidden keyword with a lot of the newer units, that's just more extra units that Boba can put out that allow him to keep them on the board for the following turn, when you could play a unit and then allow that hidden unit to now attack and have that boost and do well. So yeah.
Do you want me to go, or do you want to go next, baby?
I was waiting. I can go. Okay. So set 4 or 1 through 4, I tried to go with a leader from, a different set each, just for fun. The first one I went with is the Asajj from JTL, the blue Asajj, not the yellow one. Pilot Asajj to do 1 damage to yourself, something else. A lot of really cool blue villain cards. A lot of them deal with the Force. Asajj is a Force. She also has the Knight trait as well. And just I think there's a bunch of really cool cards, and I think she's a little bit underrated, just in general. So it's just kind of cool to see where you can put her into places, and she still can work pretty well. Not that there's not like an insane amount of grit coming in, so that's a little bit weird. But blue villainy still gets like Darth Vader now, and Krell and Sidious and all that kind of high end stuff. That's pretty cool for Asajj.
Yeah, I actually had her on my list as well, and then I changed it when Alex said the same thing. I actually have been playtesting Asajj a little bit, just because I think I agree with you in the aspect of like her just being able to do that damage to something. Like, yeah, it sucks dealing the damage to a friendly unit, but being able to like just pick off something is great. And I'll tell you what, there's a combo. There's a stupid little lady. I can't remember the name of the card, but it gives -3 to something. And you could play it, right? And it gives that -3 to something, and then you can ping with that unit with Asajj and kill something that's 4 health. So that's pretty neat little thing.
Yeah, Ogdo Bogdo.
And you got Ogdo
5 for
Bogdo
3 that can't attack unless it's damaged, and you just ping it first, and then oh no, it's damaged, and you just kill stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. You can give him a lightsaber too. You know that, right?
Yeah, I mean, as a creature, why wouldn't you be able to give it a lightsaber?
Exactly. I mean, just or a blaster if you want to run this in red.
What you were thinking of, Tanner, though, was the Talzin's Assassin, the 4 for 4. Yes. When you use the Force, you can get a -3/-3. So, yeah, and like with a lot of hidden units out there, if they like ambush or something in, or like other ways of doing damage, you just hit them with the Asajj, and it's free. It doesn't cost a resource, just a friendly unit, And there's a lot more stuff with shields too. So like in a pinch, you can ping one of your shielded units. Up next, I have Grand Inquisitor, the original red one. Gotta mention him every set. One of these days he'll be tier 1. You're missing a visual head shake here.
Yeah,
but,
we'll see. We'll see, baby.
No, but there's a bunch of cool stuff. Actually, it's mostly like the Nihil units, right? Because they just have low attack but really high raid, which is what you would want for like a Grand Inquisitor deck. You got essentially a better Clan Challengers with Thralls of the Coven, so it's the 3/7 raid 3. So just hit that a couple times with GI. Got the Grand Inquisitor himself, which is really cool. So there's a bunch of little attack units with high health that have a bunch of raid. And that's really nice for that. And last one I have is Rey, because man, there's a lot of really good blue stuff with the Force and Hero. So a bunch of 2 attack cards as well, and you just pump them up, and you can play mono blue, get Doom now, and just get a lot of experience tokens everywhere. But even something like Owen Lars, right? He's a 1 cost 0/3 restore 2. And you can pump him up with Rey if you wanted to, but when he's defeated, just search the top 5 cards for a Force unit.
Yeah, when you have a million of them, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, you just dig deeper in your deck for a 1 cost that you can pump on turn 1. So it's pretty cool stuff for Rey. Even like new Rey unit, although it doesn't work with Rey's ability, it is kind of cool if you're having a couple Reys in there, and then there's new Kylo, right? So just do whatever you want.
Yep.
Because I believe the villainy Kylo, right?
Yes,
he is a 2/3 for 2, and then when you play an upgrade, which you're probably not, you can use the Force to draw a card, but like you can still pump him up and play him for free in Raid deck, and then just pump him up to a 3/4 overwhelm on the start of, for 3 resources, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that new Kylo is going to be. I hope that's part of the kits that they give away for the weekly play, like so that I don't have to dig
Actually, I
for
lied.
those
Don't do
cards.
that one. Don't do that one because that Kylo doesn't have the text that the other Kylo has, where it could be played in a raid deck. Never mind. Bad suggestion by me.
Oh,
Discreetly edited out. No one will ever know. You don't have to do that.
all right. So for my picks, I had a couple of different ones. So Asajj is number one of mine on my list. In fairness, but the other ones that I'm working a little bit looking into is Dooku, because we're actually getting quite a bit more separatist stuff than I thought we were going to get. Like it's not just a onesie unit here; we're getting quite a few units. And the fact that you can the fact that his does not require it to have an exploit on it, he's just able to pay for things cheaper. Means that you have the ability to play more separatist units now than we ever had before. And I would never encourage you to run off color, stuff very often, but you can technically do that, right? Because it only costs one less. You give exploit, it costs one less, yada yada yada. So you're only paying one more than you would for the penalty if you wanted to. But because we're getting quite a few separatist things, I feel like there's something possibly going on with him that we could mess with, and that's kind of what I've been trying to work on. Is we had an okay Dooku yellow deck that we played. I'm looking at Dooku yellow and Dooku red again. And those are kind of the ones that I would like to try to figure out if there's a way to make separatist stuff become a thing. There is some really cool saboteur type units that are in, a separatist, and you could play Grievous's wheel bike if you really want to, right? So there's some cool stuff I think in there. And I think because they got more support than I was expecting, I want to go back and actually look at that and see if that's viable. My next pick was Lando, and I don't know if that's a surprise. I mean, that was like the third showcase that I bought was Lando when it went really cheap, and that's because they had that one deck where they actually made like top at a PQ, and then everybody's like, oh my gosh, and then nobody talks about this Lando anymore. And like I think that this Lando is still, because now we're getting things with a little bit more health on it that are now coming in cheaper. So like a 4 health unit can now be played for 2 costs. Whereas that was not as common as it was before. Now it's super common. So being able to play something on a cheaper curve and then give shields to things like Sentinels that really like it, I think there's enough stuff that Lando could possibly become like a B tier deck, if not closer to an A tier deck. Like I do genuinely think there's some stuff that pushes him up there. And so that's why I kind of I would like Lando to work A because I have the showcase. And B, because then I don't have to just have like an all 4 stack. Like I get everybody's going to want to play a 4 stacks, but this guy over here doesn't always want to play a 4 stack every time. So I think there's some viability a little bit to Lando. And my last pick was Maul, and that's just a personal pick of mine because I want Thrawn to be good. I don't think Thrawn got a ton of support this set, really. Like there's a couple of things in there that have win defeated, but like I don't think it's a lot. There's more win plate stuff that comes in, and Thrawn doesn't do that. So I picked Maul because Maul has the ability that overwhelm to things, and because you can play some force units, and we're getting more force units, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. Because we're getting all these more force units that are coming in red or new, like either red villain or red, just base red, you can now have some more powerful units that you can play around with Maul. And I think that there's a possibility that a Maul red green deck, possibly maybe a red yellow deck would be fun. That you can start putting together, I think, for Maul to make him a little bit more viable. The fact that you could give him the overwhelm on whatever unit you want, as long as you attack with the unit, it feels really good right now. Especially if people are going to start putting Sentinels down. You'll be able to start chipping away at those Sentinels and still doing damage to base. And I think that's going to be important. In my opinion, it's going to be important because I think we're going to be having to be Sentineling up pretty hardcore with some of these new Jedis coming in. So, so those are kind of our leader picks. Anybody else have any thoughts before we talk a little bit about some cards?
A little bit of a shout out to Phasma because there's like more first order units than you'd expect. Mostly in like green where Phasma is. Yeah, just like cards that you don't necessarily think are first order, but you're just like, oh right, yeah, I guess it makes sense that the Praetorian Guard is a first order unit. So
I think Phasma could possibly like be that. Like we played a first order suite in Vader, right? With Vader 1. So
yep.
I think there could be something now with some of these other cards with Phasma. So if you got a Phasma showcase, folks, don't get rid of it because it might become more valuable. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's move on to some of the cards. I will tell you the first card I honestly forgot about was Now There Are Two of Them. I don't know why that's not on here. I know I had that. It's probably hidden under one of these other cards, but Now There Are Two of Them. It should just be right in center. It is if I am making a yellow deck that has force units or anything, I now have, there's so much synergy you can do with that card. It could be next on the chopping block if we're not careful. Like that card is really, really good. Yeah. But so these are kind of some of the cards I felt could possibly make a comeback. I think Admiral Yularen was very underplayed last set. I don't know why, other than, I mean, he doesn't do anything to some extent, but
yep, he was fine. I messed around with him a little bit in Rey. I messed around with him a little bit in Lando and Luke. I'm just not it just doesn't seem super worth it. But we get more vehicles now, right? So the more your vehicle pool expands, the better potential he has.
yeah, and I think that's kind of, you know, that's why I threw him in here, is because I think there's some more potential there than we had before. But we'll see. Oh, you're right. We'll see. Maybe not. Maybe we won't. But I do think, like, I don't know. I had been playing him in Lando, and I had loved him in Lando. But that was the only deck I'd been playing him in.
I caught him for my Lando deck because he wasn't doing anything.
I threw Stella and Jabba on there because I kind of think there's a lot more cards coming that they're going to be able to interact with. And people don't play Stella, and I don't know why. Like
I did for a while. Like it was pretty popular in like the Anakin Colossus deck because you do, dig and draw more cards, and there's a lot of really good tactics in blue and red, and that's where it kind of filled its niche. But I'm not sure if there's any more like, oh man, look at this tactics card here I really need. I haven't really seen. Most of them are just like force stuff.
Yeah,
but you get like lightsaber throws a tactic and things like that.
Yeah, I think there's more. I think there's coming, and I think there is a niche, a world where maybe she could possibly be a little bit better, or more played. Maybe, I don't know.
On the
maybe
flip side, though, tricks.
Anakin.
A lot more tricks.
There's a ton of tricks.
Yeah, a lot more tricks in yellow.
Jabba just went up in stocks, baby. Like, buy your hyperspaces now, because I think if you're running an underworld deck with Jabba in it, like, it just makes more sense. I know people are already running them now, like a little bit more than they had been, but I will tell you, the amount of tricks coming is just really good for Jabba. So
yeah,
I love Jabba, by the way, too. I just think Jabba is one of my favorite.
Isn't the trash compactor card? Is that not a trick?
I thought it was.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah,
it goes with
a trick.
It's worse, right?
Yeah, they're both tricks. So
yeah,
you can play like a precarious predicament for one.
Yeah.
The next one was the Magna Guard Wing Leader. I only say that because there's more droids coming. I don't know if that card's going to really be any good or not, but I will tell you, action cheating, like if you have lots of droids out, we saw Rebel Assault is pretty good. Now that gives you a buff. I get it, and that's part of the reason people like that. This is just an action, right? So like this doesn't require you to play a card, but allows you to attack with 2 units, and
it doesn't exhaust it, notably.
Yep, it doesn't exhaust it. You can attack with this and then use as action. If you have like 7 droids out, you can use it like multiple times.
Once per turn still. There's a once per turn clause on it.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, but it doesn't exhaust, so that's pretty cool. But it's also not unique, right? So like if you have multiple, so you use it multiple times a turn.
Yep, it's a little selfish because Tanner's, again, I'm building my Separatist Dooku deck, right? So And I like
Love
my
your
I like
separatists and droids.
I do. I love my vulture droids. Nobody else likes it. People just want to play bombing run and kill all my droids. It's like, what are they doing to you? They're only hitting you for like 5 each.
Just on this rock.
Yeah, give me a card that puts them on a rock and lets me avoid damage, negate damage. Put an asteroid in front of your droids and let them all land on it, and then negate damage accordingly. JJ, next year I want to play Separatists again.
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, I don't want resistance, so don't give me resistance. I put Barriss Offee on here, and like I don't think her as an individual, like her card text and all these other things, like really is going to be that great. But she is a 1-cost force unit that like activates your force throw. It also works very well, in my opinion. It works very well if you want to use her to be able to upgrade like a lightsaber. Like you put Ahsoka's lightsaber on her, you could play her turn 2 and put another lightsaber. You could do a lot of cool things, I think, with her. And like she can die to pings, so I think you have to upgrade her. But I don't know. Like I was trying to look for some different things, and I think as a 1-drop, she might be pretty cool.
Guardian of the Wills is reprinted in this set.
Yep.
The 2/2 for 2 that lets you play an upgrade for 1 cheaper. So that might also follow the same logic you were saying with Barriss. So just like, yeah, upgrade, and it's a force unit, and it's 1 cheaper. So also a little notable card there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't know. I have not tested a lot with her. But how about that Darth Maul though? I don't know about you, but I'm gonna put Darth Maul on the thing. I got Darth Maul in my decks again, baby.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe again, it's my pick because I think Maul could become good, and like I got Varl, and maybe it's because I just really love Maul. I don't know.
You just want to use a lightsaber.
I do want to use his lightsaber, and I'll tell you, I'm telling you, I have Maul in like 2 or 3 decks right now.
Yeah,
like I
+4,
do.
+2 gets overwhelmed for the attack. For
Yep.
both attacks, really, for him. So just find a way to give him a shield, so he just eats it all into 1 shield.
Yep. One of the other cards I put in there, Zillow Beast.
Yeah.
Because this set feels so ground heavy, and I know this is funny because he's just a creature unit, right? But I'm telling you, like if you're gonna play something like that could go to those resources, like in this new meta, like you could play that card and then they have to claim. Like they could have 10 units out and they aren't gonna do any damage. They're just gonna sit there. And your Zillow Beast is just going to laugh in their face. And yeah, next churn, but that could buy you a whole churn. And now you've got a 10/10 that can just like murder things, and it heals itself at the end of every round, which is weird that it heals itself. I don't know the lore behind that.
So essentially, whenever it was near a power source, it just absorbed the energy and just got better or bigger and bigger, basically.
Well, it would be even better if it didn't heal itself, but just gave itself grit. How about that? Could you imagine having like a 19-1 overwhelm? Like, oh, I would love it. Give that to me, baby.
Have overwhelm.
I know it should have overwhelm if it's going to become more powerful.
But it is a creature, and there's like creature synergy in this set, right?
Yes.
So that is notable. I love me some Zillow Beasts. I love dropping Zillow Beasts on people. I didn't like it when they Zillow Beast my Zillow Beast. That was a little frustrating, Justin, but you know, it's fun.
The one card I think that deserves an honorable mention in here that's not on here is the clone card, which allows you to just clone another card that you have already placed out there.
A non-vehicle.
Yeah, exactly. Clone a non-vehicle unit. I mean that goes. I think that goes pretty well with Zillow Beast. So imagine having 2 of them back to back. That'd be great.
Or imagine I play clone on your Zillow Beast, and then you can cry a little bit because it'll be like Justin, right? You know?
Yeah.
I always want to do the dream of dropping 3 Krayt Dragons and cloning a 4th one on someone. Just play 1 card and their base just blows up immediately. Never got around to doing it though, but
no,
I had clone in a sideboard for my Hero Boba deck for a little bit, and that was really fun. Nobody saw that coming. They're just like, "Oh, great."
So just so you know, I want you to know, Alex, if you do that to me and you decide not to attack my base or do anything, you're just playing crate dragons.
Yeah.
When you get that third one out, I'm just gonna concede. Like if you won't attack my base, you're never gonna get to play clone. I'm just gonna concede. You're gonna have the game, motherfucker. Like
Hey, the game state is still progressing. I'm not stalling out the game. I'm just not playing any cards because I have 4 Great Dragons out there.
yeah, I'm cloning. I'm done. I'm literally just going to concede the game to you and move on with my life.
Just don't play anything that costs 8 or more. And then you won't be one shot.
I put Bendu on here because I think we're getting enough blue support that you can run a double blue deck, like Alex was saying earlier. And I think Bendu with that Sentinel ability and some of the I'm not telling you to run a Kylo deck yet. We're gonna test the Kylo deck, but I'm telling you, I've played Bendu in Ray before in that version that Alex had, and this is last set. And and it works very well. And now we're getting a lot more neutral stuff. And we're getting a lot more blue support. I think stocks go up in Bendu personally for this set. And again, notably, he's a creature and a force unit. So, and he's only 6. He's a 6 cost, right? Like 6 cost Sentinel.
You can play Size Matters Not for free if you have a force unit.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's even better.
But also, playing Vigilance for 2 is really nasty.
Yep.
Or Anakin for 4. New Anakin here. So. I agree. There's a fair amount of not mono specifically, but mono blue cards that are now cheaper. Like Shatterpoint is probably a really nice target for 2 cost.
Yeah, you now want that card, whereas before we're like, whatever. But hey, with Bendu, baby.
Yeah, I mean Bendu just ruins a lot of people's lives.
Yeah, so I think if you're going to play a double blue deck, you should be considering Bendu. Period.
I tested Bendu versus Obi-Wan for Ray stuff, and even if I have a high density of force units, I still kind of just went with Bendu, just because that the 7 health is more relevant than the 6 for Obi-Wan, and he's just right at that spot that he can't be felled or taken down. So it's just a nice little sweet spot that also is a massive problem for my opponent, and it's also a force unit.
Yeah,
so you can put a lightsaber and stuff on him.
You can do all sorts of stupid things with him. You can even make him a Jedi at some point somehow. I don't know how he's a rock Jedi, but I mean...
and then you run Security Complex and just put a shield on him because you haven't used it yet. It's cool.
I threw Fang Fighter. I think that's just obvious. I think upgrade hate's going to become a thing. I mean, it might... The question becomes is, if everybody plays so many upgrades, is upgrade hate even going to be worth it? You can only run so much upgrade. In red, you can run 3 power failure, 3 Fang Fighters, and 3 confiscates, right? But after aggression. That, and aggression. There you go. If you run all red, you can just run aggression. But
and Poe, other things there's a lot of upgrade removal.
So I think Fang Fighters are just that easy target, and a lot of people were running them because of pilots last set. Well, I don't think they go away. I think if you're gonna run red, you just run freaking more disabling Fang Fighters again. Everybody's gonna run this. I put Grief Karga on here, and I could already hear Alex going, "No, that's dumb." But being able to when played, when you get to search the top 5 cards of your deck for an upgrade and reveal it, if you're gonna play an upgrade heavy deck, I think this is we had this back when people didn't play a lot of upgrades, but there's so many more new upgrades and some cool stuff coming out that I kind of feel Grief might have a place in that style of a deck. I mean, I won't lie and say that Mando's also on the radar to talk a little bit about. At some point, Mando might be able to kind of come back if upgrades and Voltroning become a thing. But Grief, I don't know. He's an official that allows you to dig for upgrades, I guess. So I think if you're going to run an upgrade deck, I think it becomes kind of important. But I also threw Kylo and Rey on there, even though I don't know, I don't know. Rey also has that sweet spot,
They are in aspect for the other counterparts now for the release, and that's why it's worth more of a consideration, right? Because Kylo, you have a red Rey now, and Kylo from the second set's red.
Yes.
And then Rey is blue, and you have blue Kylo. So,
yeah. So I have not tested either of them. I do think I like the Rey a little bit better than I like that Kylo personally, if I'm being honest with you. Because again, I agree with you. It hits that sweet spot, right? And she has a resistance tag and a force tag. So like, if you want to fuck around with like a resistance, like a Ray or a Kylo resistance style deck, I guess it wouldn't be a Kylo. It would have to be a Ray resistance style deck. You could do something like that. Excuse me, but I don't know. I think at least Ray is going to become. I guess I'm glad I have 7 Rays for whatever reason. That said, I pulled so many stupid Rays, but I do think like Ray becomes a thing, more than she had been. Kyle I threw on there just because I think we should consider it, but we'll see. I don't know. Kyle is nasty when he attacks, right? Though, like if he gets to sit around, he is kind of a nasty.
Yeah, I mean the attack boost is real nice.
Yeah, and he is only a 6 cost, so he doesn't need to go in like super, like he doesn't have to be your top end unit. I don't know. I also put the 2 Inquisitors on there because I'm looking to build an Inquisitor deck, and that's just a selfish Tanner who wants to build an Inquisitor
for brother and 7th sister for specifications.
Yep. So I want my Inquisitor deck. JJ will run it as well. Like it'll be a thing. We're just gonna all run Inquisitor decks.
Yeah. Reva, baby. Reva.
Yep. I am actually heavily testing Reva right now. I love let's not go down that rabbit hole. Alex, I think you had mentioned Electro Staff before last week or last podcast.
Put it on like Careful Purgle or whatever that is, the 2/7 5 cost Space Sentinel.
Yep. So I went back and kind of looked at it, and then I saw that it can go on like all sorts of crazy things. Like you can put it on a Bendu, and by the way,
on vehicle,
it doesn't have a aspect except for blue, so Bendu likes that. And I don't know. For free. It seems pretty good, right? Because like you put it on a Sentinel, and he just says no to you. You just get -2, -2. So
no, mine
or -1. Sorry, yeah, -1. Sorry. But I don't know. So I put that on there because you had mentioned it, and I actually started going back and looking at a lot of like what you can do with it, and I was like, okay, this is actually probably better than some of these light statements we're seeing.
Fair amount of like low attack, but like really high health Sentinels.
Yeah.
So that helps a lot.
Yes, it makes because they keep it out of fell range still.
Right, and then it keeps it just the high health to a lot to chew through, and also you're doing less damage. So
yeah. The other one, I put Mandalorian armor on there. I think we talked a little bit about that last week too. There's some more Mandalorian stuff coming up. With that, I think that was an underrated card that we didn't see a lot of outside of like in draft and sealed. I went back and kind of looked at the Mandalorian stuff for it, and I was like, okay, there's a few more things this can go with. There's a possibility this actually might like have some niche favorability in like a Gar Saxon style deck. So, I don't know. You could disagree with me if you want, I guess, but I liked it. I thought it was probably good.
Sure. I mean, there's a couple Mandalorian units.
Yeah. The other one, this one I think we should talk about, sword and shield maneuver, which I was like, why would I want this? But then I actually went and looked at it, and it says each friendly trooper unit gets raid 1 for this phase, and then each friendly Jedi unit gets Sentinel for this phase. And I was like, oh, like, so you have a 2-cost way to just stop them from attacking your base. Because if you're gonna play all Jedis, right? Like, I don't know. If it feels kind of good, I guess.
It is definitely a card that not a lot of people are thinking of because it was not really played outside of maybe some limited pre-release stuff.
Yeah.
But if there's a lot more Jedis, obviously that helps. There's a couple good troopers as well, but
it's mainly the Jedi thing is what I saw.
Right. It's a 2-cost. Let's give a bunch of Jedi some Sentinels.
Yeah. I did not look to see if we had a Jedi trooper because that would be super awesome if we did.
I don't think how would that even work?
Well, Jedis were troopers, kind of. They play. I don't know. Let's keep moving. We don't have to talk about Force Throw yet. We'll talk about that in a second. But Force Lightning, I don't know. I've been actually playing Force Lightning again, and like I was like, man, I love this card. I forgot how much I love this card. Like it's just this cheap 1 cost. I'm going to turn all of your abilities off. And oh, by the way, maybe I'll just kill you instead. And since there's so many more force units in villain than we ever had in our whole life, I don't know. Like, I think Force Lightning for a 1 cost. Okay, if they ban Force Throw for whatever reason, Force Lightning becomes a thing. So I would expect to see this Force Lightning more than I would expect. I do genuinely think it's going to become a good card.
At the PQ I was at in Ohio, I was playing a Tarkentown Set 1 Vader, I believe in the 7th round, and he had Force Throws. Or, sorry, not Force Throws. He had Force Lightnings.
Mhm.
And he would use it a lot when, like, Vader flipped. Or, just various, like, Fifth Brother. It's Force
Mhm.
units out there. And yeah, that can catch people by surprise. He actually just, like, would flip his Vader, and then if I left his Vader alive, he would just Force Lightning my Vader and just one-shot it.
Mhm.
Which is a little bit frustrating. And it's a really nice out to, like, Crate Dragons, right? Because you can
It's a 1 cost.
take 1 back. Yeah.
Yep. It's really good into some of these big creature decks, and I think that's why I'm a little more high on it. I know it's a villain card, and I tend to lean more villain-ish when I play this game, if you hadn't figured that out yet. But I don't know. I think this. If you don't own this card for whatever reason, go out and buy it. While it's cheap. Don't wait. Don't sleep on it.
Sure. I mean, like, I don't know. Force Lightning's nice, but we'll see. We'll see. It does require a lot of resources.
Yeah. So then we have the next thing that I have, or maybe the last one that I have, is execute Order 66, and that's more of a meme thing. I don't know if that's going to be worth playing, but I'm going to tell you what, for the first month, if you haven't tested, that's a great sideboard card. Oh, they're going to play all Jedis? All right, screw you. I'm just going to kill them all.
Sure, but they got to play, like, Jedi specifically, right? So it ain't going to do much against
That's why it's a sideboard
typically
card.
villainy decks and stuff, right? Because the Force units are usually the issues.
Sure. I don't know. I like it. I want to play it. I have some hyperspace foils of that card that I got, so I just want to be able to play that card. I don't know. Any other cards you guys think I missed that we should go over, or can we move on and talk a little bit about Force Throw?